We're all waiting to see the results of the MRI for Steph Curry.
Right now, the Warriors are just trying to remain optimistic while they wait for those scans, feeling that this isn't going to be a months-long or even more doubtfully season-ending injury.
This has been one of the most unpredictable NBA seasons that we've seen in quite some time, and I don't think anyone is going to dispute that. Just look at the Western Conference and Eastern Conference standings, and that's all the proof you would need. But this latest event completely alters the course of not only the Warriors season, but the entire NBA. And we're gonna break all of it down for you guys in just a sec. Before we get to the content, I have an announcement to make. I am going to be traveling for the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I felt like it's time that I take my family on a vacation. Show some love to mom, dad, my sister, and brother. And if you're interested in seeing my travels in Dubai, Turkey, and Israel, then follow me on Instagram. I do plan on trying my best to make content for you guys while I'm there. I bought like a state-of-the-art laptop. My editing team and I are constantly brainstorming for ways to make sure we get content out to you guys. And if you remember, we had a situation similar to this over the summertime when I went to a bachelor party on July, and I brought you videos from a pretty interesting setting. I guess I'm just giving you a warning if you see a slight decrease in quality over the next 3 weeks, or if things are a little weird. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. This video is sponsored by Manscaped.com, the premium global brand for men's hygiene and grooming solutions. And now that the holidays are around the corner, what better gift to get for your man than Manscaped? Or if you're a man, what better gift to get for your woman than to start manscaping? And Manscaped has the perfect way to do it. Their performance package has everything you would need, starting from the legendary 4th generation of the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is a waterproof, cordless trimmer with skin-safe technology. This would ensure that you could trim your tree without cutting any wires, if you know what I mean. It has a powerful 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. So if you happen to take it to your gym shower, the entire world won't know that you're manscaping. But on top of that, something that I use twice a day, every morning and every night, is the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant. I used to think my armpits were the smelliest part of my body. I was dead wrong. This is the perfect thing to apply in the mornings and right after your workout to keep your sack of presents nice and cool throughout the day. It's infused with natural hydrators and antioxidants like aloe vera, and you just put it on your area after your shower for all-day protection. New to the Manscaped collection is the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, which is honestly the greatest thing ever invented because it's a nose and ear hair trimmer that prevents tugging. And in honor of the holiday season, Manscaped is hooking you up with 2 free gifts when you purchase the Performance Bundle, which would be the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Performance Boxers. And as always, when you use my promo code FLIGHT, you'll get 20% off of your order plus free shipping. That's promo code FLIGHT to get 20% off of your order and free shipping. And thank you, Manscaped, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Golden State Warriors were one of the best stories in the entire NBA last season. I mean, following losing to the Toronto Raptors in an injury-riddled series that saw both Kevin Durant tear his Achilles and Klay Thompson tear his ACL, which would be followed by Kevin Durant leaving the Golden State Warriors. Well, it was technically a sign and trade with the Brooklyn Nets that netted the Golden State Warriors. D'Angelo Russell traded Kevin Durant to the Brooklyn Nets, and ultimately the Warriors were able to take D'Angelo Russell and flip him for renowned draft bust Andrew Wiggins. They took on Andrew Wiggins as a reclamation project, and they focused on developing their homegrown talent while they were waiting for Klay Thompson to return and for the Golden State Warriors to get back to full strength. And they were rewarded with the emergence of not only Andrew Wiggins, but Jordan Poole as well. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, the reason why the Golden State Warriors won the NBA Finals last year wasn't because Klay Thompson came back, although of course he definitely helped, but it was the fact that the Golden State Warriors had an opportunity to invest time into developing players like Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, and by the time they all came back and them were able to play with one another, everyone accepted their role and bought in so the Golden State Warriors could win a championship. And the Warriors are in a remarkable situation. We said it in the offseason. They're in one of those ideal situations where their current core of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry could eventually pass on the torch to their next generation of players like Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. But in the offseason, a series of very under the radar but important events occurred. The Golden State Warriors lost some of their best role players. Gone were key role players like Damian Lee, Otto Porter Jr., and Gary Payton II. Honestly, I can't necessarily blame the Golden State Warriors or those players for leaving, because those players got contracts that the Warriors would not be able to afford, and the Golden State Warriors were more focused on extending Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, which, by the way, was an insurmountable task, and in my mind, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to lose at least one of those players. The fact that they were able to retain both was nothing short of a miracle, but still a huge hit at that. The Golden State Warriors thought that they'd be able to replace the production of those key role players with players like JaMychal Green and Dante DiVincenzo, and ultimately, so far, that hasn't panned out. It has been a very rough season for the Warriors so far. They lead the NBA in pace, and they're third in the NBA in points per game. Their issues are more on the defensive side of the ball. They're currently ranked 26th in the NBA for opposing points per game, and to be honest, a large portion of them being first in points per game could be attributed to the fact that their best player, who is 34 going on 35 in March, Steph Curry, was averaging 30 points per game. I mean, this was an absolute berserk season for Steph Curry. He was attempting 11.6 threes per game and shooting 43% from three. That's a 5% improvement from last year. So right when you thought Steph Curry couldn't get any better, he is. And he's aging like a fine wine. But despite all of this, the Golden State Warriors are still struggling. Now, there are a lot of theories as to why. Some people suggest that the Golden State Warriors never really moved past the fact that Draymond Green nearly punched Jordan Poole's head off. Some people are even suggesting that there are some trust issues as to how the video even got out. But I honestly think that's a very lazy way to characterize the issues that the Golden State Warriors are going through. I primarily believe it's the fact that they lost some very important role players who got money that they truly deserve. And the integration of their new role players hasn't been as seamless as you thought. And despite Steph Curry averaging nearly 30 points per game, Golden State Warriors at this time sit at 14-15, which is good enough to be 10th in the Western Conference. We are 30 games into the season, and to give you an idea, the Los Angeles Lakers lost 16 games in comparison to the Golden State Warriors who have lost 15. Hell, the Minnesota Timberwolves have lost as many games as the Golden State Warriors. It has just not been ideal for them so far. And don't get me wrong, it's been a very strange season. I mean, the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies, the two top teams in the 2019 NBA draft, sit atop the Western Conference at the time that we're making this video, and it's well deserved, and it's really nice to see new teams at the top of the Western Conference. But this video is about the Golden State Warriors. And right when we thought that things couldn't get worse for the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry would injure his shoulder while trying to make a defensive play versus the Indiana Pacers, in which, by the way, the Warriors would also lose that game against the Indiana Pacers. So right when you thought it couldn't get worse, oh baby, it did get way worse. But what if I told you the Golden State Warriors were in a situation similar to this recently? And honestly, as a result of this situation, you can make the argument that they won an NBA championship. As a matter of fact, the situation is as recent as last year. If you remember, last year on March 16th, 2022, Steph Curry injured his ankle in a game versus the Boston Celtics. He would be ruled out for the rest of the season. And during this time, there were a lot of question marks about what the Golden State Warriors are going to do, especially with the playoffs right around the corner. And it was in this moment that Jordan Poole would really take the next step in his game. Poole was already performing incredibly well throughout the season, and as a result, Jordan Poole was tasked with making up for the deficit of Steph Curry's minutes. And immediately, Jordan Poole was able to elevate his game. So while every single analyst thinks that Steph Curry's injury could potentially ruin the Golden State Warriors season, I think that there's a great opportunity here, because at this point, depending on Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson to consistently push this team into title contention is just not sustainable. They're all getting old. Steph Curry is about to turn 35. Klay Thompson is currently 32. Draymond Green is also currently 32. And to be honest, just a bold prediction here, there's no way you could prove me right or wrong. I think this might actually actually be Draymond's final season on the Golden State Warriors. But that's for a different video. Let me know if you agree or disagree about that. The Warriors have a lot of question marks whenever it comes to their younger talent. Jordan Poole has taken a gigantic step back ever since getting his big contract. Moses Moody's numbers look very decent, especially considering the amount of playing time he's had so far. I mean, 39% from three in just 14.8 minutes per game is something that is worth exploring without a doubt. Considering the fact that Moses Moody is a guard, Steph Curry's injury could potentially free up some minutes for Moses Moody to potentially shine and take the next step in his game. The only thing that could really save the Golden State Warriors season is by seeing their younger players begin their evolution. The least likely out of this list, I would probably say, is James Wiseman. I mean, he's barely been getting any minutes per game. He's been barely appearing in games. And even when he has been, he's looked like the second coming of Hasheem Thabeet. And I'm not necessarily saying what happened to the Golden State Warriors is a good thing, but what they were doing before, which was essentially depending on Steph Curry to play hero ball and bail them out of bad situations, depending on him to average 30 points per game, while essentially employing a Mike D'Antoni-like philosophy to basketball, you know, be the top team in pace, be one of the top teams in offense, and be one of the worst teams in defense, is just an unsustainable way to go about your season. So there are multiple directions that the Warriors could go at this point. One is they could seek a trade. And if you remember in the offseason, the Warriors were completely closed-minded to trading their young players for Kevin Durant. But as a result of a weak start to their season, I can imagine them getting to warm up to potential trade possibilities. The problem is obviously the value of their young players isn't necessarily as great as it was in the offseason when they were just coming off of an NBA championship. Obviously, this is not what the Golden State Warriors were hoping for. And there's many ways that they could get out of this. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you're Bob Myers, who by the way hasn't received a contract extension yet, how would you go about fixing the Golden State Warriors? Would you place an emphasis on trying to develop your young players? Would you try to trade some of your young players for a more established star? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.